Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us on This Week in Milwaukee Rising with Technically. I'm Sorrina Beecher, the lead reporter for the region, and every week we feature an amazing individual or group that is shaping Milwaukee's economic landscape and highlight solutions to help build a more equitable and inclusive future. So I'm super excited about this one because we have DJ Shawna in the building. She is synonymous with good vibes here in Milwaukee. And her name is actually Shawna Nicols. She's better known as DJ Shawna. She's a top DJ, producer, entrepreneur, and motivational speaker, and the owner of Dare to Be Entertainment. So we're going to learn more about DJ Shawna's journey from growing up in Milwaukee to starring on the court for the Wisconsin Badgers basketball team to DJing for arena crowds and building her life as an entrepreneur. So thank you for joining us, DJ Shawna. It's so great for you to be with us today.
Oh my goodness, you hurt my cheeks. I love hanging out with you. You're so sweet. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
No, thank you, because I know you are incredibly busy. You do so many things around the city. So I really appreciate you taking the time. For the people that don't know you, this is like your story is incredible. Like you have really made something so big out of, a DJ. Like we don't think about DJs sort of evolving into entrepreneurs, especially here in Milwaukee. So I know that you started, you grew up in Milwaukee. And you actually started playing basketball for the Wisconsin Badgers. So tell us a little bit about that journey and how you made the transition out of basketball into DJing.
Amazing. Thank you. I love talking about the chapter of my life where I was a basketball player because I identify as a hooper to this day. It's something that just doesn't leave your soul when it's in there. So I'm a Milwaukee kid. I went to Pius High School. I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to University of Wisconsin. So I'm a proud Wisconsin Badger. I graduated with my undergrad, and the quick story is I transitioned into DJing after playing professional basketball overseas, when I was hanging out with my peers, and candidly because I've never drank alcohol before. And so I'm very socially awkward. I feel uncomfortable. I feel awkward. I don't know what to do with my hands, like in spaces, like in bars and clubs. And so I started hanging out with a local legend at the time, DJ Rock D, at Walker's Pint on 2nd and National in the heart of Milwaukee. And I never looked back. It started as a hobby and it just continued to snowball. And I love
Yeah. Were you always just like a big fan of music?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I'm totally dating myself when I'm going to tell you next. But I grew up making mixtapes constantly off the radio. So waiting for those first like two notes to hit and pushing record. I listened to music constantly. My whole entire family, my mom and my dad still have, I think, incredible taste in music. And so like, I feel like my music, like Rolodex is just crazy. Like I will remember your favorite song better than I can remember your name. And
Yeah.
that's like, I think it's awful and amazing at the same time to know like when Sorrina walks in, like what song I'm going to play for her. But I'm so grateful to just have this incredible library that I feel has been influenced from people all like literally all over my whole entire life.
I'm curious to know like what your friends and family reaction was when you were like, "Hey, I think I'm gonna do this full time now."
I don't know. I still pinch myself that it is a job, full time.
Mhm.
It's not a job, it's career. It's a
Mhm.
life for me that somehow there's no blueprint for what I think in the industry. And then I don't think I'm special, but there's just no blueprint really when you feel like you have a lot of different things when you're similar to yourself, when you want to be creative, you want to be entrepreneurial, and you want to give back to like the community and be a part of the city that you love to call home. And so there's all these
Mhm.
things you just feel like you have your finger sort of on the pulse, trying to navigate. But it's funny you say that because I remember when I got the opportunity to DJ with the Milwaukee Bucks, and that was kind of like this aha moment, not only for myself because it's guaranteed money, guaranteed gigs, right? I signed
Mhm.
a contract every single year, and so I'm guaranteed every home regular season game, and then you're playing music for a team that has Giannis on it and goes and wins a championship, so you get to play a lot of NBA games. And that was like when my family, I think, started looking at me like, huh, this is a job. Like this is real, this type of thing.
For sure. What was it like in those early days when you first started DJing, lugging equipment, I assume from gig to gig, or
Oh,
just
I still lug equipment
learning
from gig to gig.
you
I
still
still I got my
let's
hand
make
truck.
that
I'm
clear.
literally waving to my hand truck right now because it's my best friend. I it does it's amazing. I think one of the best things I learned early on, and I've DJ'd for hundreds of thousands of people at an NBA championship parade celebration, and I have DJ'd for 3 people. A, door person, a bartender, and a bar back, where nobody else is in
Mm,
the bar. And it literally is the epitome of I did this in my living room during COVID for nobody because I
mhm,
love it. The coolest thing I think though about music is that it's one of the very few things in the world that brings people together. And that's why I'm just so grateful to have an opportunity to play music, whether people or know I'm there or not, but to play music in different capacities and hopefully add value to that moment, to that person's day, to that event, to that game, to
mhm.
whatever, to that party, to that celebration, whatever it may be. That's always my goal, is to add value.
Yeah. And I'm curious because you said that, that there wasn't a blueprint. What do you think kept you going in those early days when maybe you were only performing for three people in a room?
Serena, when I say 3 people in the room, like, I went back to a bar recently and there were maybe 7. So, like, this
Wow,
is, like,
sure.
this is it's a humbling, I think, world. And,
Mhm,
social media oftentimes makes everybody look cooler than they are, myself included. And so but I have no shame in it. Like, that's the coolest thing is I love it. And so passion keeps
mhm,
me going, making people smile. Maybe somebody came to, again, that event or that bar or that whatever it may be, that was excuse me, their first time out or something, right? Like in a long time. Well, who knows? So I think it's passion that keeps me going. It's the drive to want to feel like I can be a part of something that's bigger than me, to maybe make this world a little bit of a better place, which sounds funny when I say I'm a DJ, but I have a feeling you're going to ask me about everything else I do later on.
I definitely want to get to the other stuff that you do, but I know that a lot of people first started hearing your name and interacting with you as after you landed your role with the Milwaukee Bucks. So I'm hoping you could tell us a little bit about that and how
Absolutely.
that even, I mean, that incredible opportunity even came to be.
Yeah, thank you. It's a really cool story, to be honest. So, working for the Milwaukee Bucks is a part of the DJ and live entertainment and music industry that's known as live entertainment. And when I learned about live entertainment, I didn't know that this was ever going to be a thing. I
Mhm.
honestly, I didn't have my eyes set on this. This wasn't a goal of mine. It was that I wanted to do something like it. So I honestly, at the time, I was in bars and clubs full time. I was also training basketball players basically full time, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life. And I learned about live entertainment because of somebody who has become one of my best friends and mentors, DJ Jeremy Rouche, and he is the Lakers official DJ. So he is a world championship DJ. He's also, one of his other biggest accomplishments as a DJ, he's the AVP, the Pro Volleyball Tour DJ. And then he also is a producer and incredible human overall. And literally just would watch whatever he would share on social. And I used that as blueprint. I think I eventually messaged him. I don't even remember what I said. I'm sure he could tell you more, but I was just curious and I was trying to figure out what he was doing and how I could do it. And not saying that I was better than him, but just I wanted different opportunities. I never wanted to steal anybody's job. I never wanted, I wanted to be in consideration. And he and I just continued to talk. Serendipitously, I got an opportunity with Marquette women's basketball, and that's actually where it all
Mm,
started. And so, as a Badger, I got a lot of crap for that. But the
I
coach at the
believe that.
Yep, but the coach at the time, Coach Caroline Keeger, we played against each other. So she went to Marquette and was an amazing basketball player still to this day. And I was at Wisconsin, and we became really good friends. And so she made it happen. So I was the first DJ ever at Marquette University, period. And it was for women's basketball, period, before any
Mm,
other sport had a DJ. And coincidentally, that year the Bucks also called, and they wanted support at the Bradley Center. So that first season, I want to say it was like 2017.
Mm.
Um, I did support at the Bradley Center, where the Bucks' former arena, for like 6 or 7 games. So like you just like scan your ticket in the atrium, and I was one of the. I have no idea how many DJs or bands were playing, but I had 6 or 7 games. And again, to be redundant, it just continued to snowball. So that same
Mhm.
year, Marquette women's basketball coincidentally hosted the Big East women's basketball tournament here downtown Milwaukee at the Al McGuire Center. And I was sitting there. And if you are a basketball fan, you know that conference tournaments happen about like 3-ish weeks before the women's Final Four. And so I was sitting there, I was like, all right, I know the Big Ten, like there's all right, every conference this weekend is having their tournament. So then I was like, so after that, they're gonna go to the Final Four. So I was like, so who literally I was like, who's DJing the Final Four? Serena, when I tell you I cold called the NCAA, I'm sure you're not surprised about this next part. I left a rambling voicemail about who I am, what I wanted to do. I was like, can I please
Mm.
come and DJ for the Final Four? They called me back.
That's amazing.
That's how I
Yeah.
became the women's Final Four official DJ.
Wow.
And it just, again, I'm so grateful. I definitely launched that one as soon as I walked into the gym, and it went in. And that's how it all happened.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the amazing things you've been able to do is, you played at the All-Star game,
Yeah.
and I mean, that's an amazing experience. Can you tell us a little bit about what that moment was like for you? And I believe that was in 2018.
Was it? Um,
I
it
could
was
be
the
wrong.
last 2 seasons. It might not have been 2018. I think I had the NBA All-Star game in Atlanta, which was, I think, 2021. And then I was the official DJ for last year's NBA All-Star game, which would be 2022 in Cleveland. So I have back-to-back All-Star games, and I'm gonna be honest, so they're both very different because Atlanta we were still in COVID. There was
Mm,
still protocol, and there were still bubbles, and there was still testing, and there was still we had people in arena, but they were all like first responders, which was really, really cool. So it wasn't packed like it normally is. And that was my first NBA All-Star experience. I had an incredible time. I got to work with Big Tigger. Are you kidding me?
that's crazy.
That
Yeah.
was great. Like I like grew up watching like him on BET. And so like to like watch Big Tig and like it was and work with him was incredible. And then
Yeah.
last year I got to go to Cleveland, and it was packed, and it was the 75th anniversary of the NBA period. And so to
Mm.
be a part of a production where Michael Jordan got introduced, like that was the first time I'd ever been in a room on top of amazing, like obviously the other 74 incredible human beings, including Giannis. But then to hear LeBron James introduced in Cleveland, and that was really, really cool. So, one of the coolest rooms I've probably gotten to DJ for that they have no idea who I am.
But you brought the energy.
That's right. I did my best. Yeah.
Don't remember that. It all sets the stage, right? Um, you were one of 4 DJs that were selected to play in the NBA bubble during COVID.
Yeah.
Um, I first want to hear a little bit about what that experience was like, but then also just the events that took place during, during that time, 2020, civil unrest, political unrest, a lot of changes, a lot of conversations, but also sports really taking a stance
Mm.
on issues and how that might have affected you. So first, tell us a little bit about the NBA bubble, and then I want to hear how that year may have helped shift your career or shape your career moving forward.
Absolutely. The bubble, I mean, it's surreal. Coincidentally, I'm wearing the hat, like whole new game, like for today. And so to live, first of all, at Disney World for 3 months is kind of crazy. And it's not Disney
Mhm.
World as we know it. But then to live in a neighborhood, and I don't know how, so we were at Coronado Springs. So it wasn't, there's no rides, there's no attractions. It was a resort. There were pools and hotels. And that's where we lived. So literally like walking to breakfast and you see LeBron and AD biking by and you're like, good morning, LeBron. Good morning, AD. Like have a great day. It's very surreal. But then you add on top of it, nothing else was going on. And to be a part of that was just such a gift, and that I'm so grateful for. And then you add 4 DJs. I was one of 4, the only female in the bubble
Mm.
as a DJ. And it was just you like all these really cool layers. And then you get to not only be there with the Bucks, but I get to also DJ for the other 21 teams. So a total of 22 NBA teams were there. And so I learned my learning curve. That was my first season as our official DJ for the Bucks. So my learning curve, it was just like crazy. The amount of hours I
Mm.
was putting in DJing 2 NBA games a day. And
Wow.
so, like, my reps, like, I'm a firm believer in the 10,000 hour theory. And like, it just, I'm not saying I'm great, but it was like, it just like sped my like learning curve up crazy. And then do different teams with different philosophies and different sounds and all these things. It was just so fun. Um, but you want to talk about civil unrest and Black Lives Matter and how I was so proud. And I'm going to speak only about the Bucks because
Mhm.
um, they have such a special place in my heart because of how they stood up and who they are and what they did. So even before they went to the bubble, they're the Milwaukee Bucks led a Black Lives Matter um, march, if you will, throughout Milwaukee downtown. We went to the bubble, and then in the at the very first round of playoffs, unfortunately, there was another incident, just essentially down the freeway in Kenosha, and Jacob Blake was shot by police officers in the back, and our team and our guys on their own boycotted a game and watching. And so I was there. I was DJing the game, so I'm
Mm.
on headset and you're watching the clock kind of tick down. My personal whole philosophy throughout everything that happened through what needed to happen, in my opinion, for our country when everything else was at a standstill, and really bringing to light a very important issue. And then when sports were happening throughout all of this, turmoil in the country, and really shining a light on racism was always, and this chokes me up, but was always like keep showing up for them as somebody who is white, no matter what I'm going through and what I am feeling, how I'm feeling. And when Jacob Blake happened and living in the bubble, I'll be honest, like I walked into to get tested that day in the morning. And these, like, you see the same nurses every day, and I have my mask
Mhm.
on, and I've been crying just because to be isolated was so crazy, to be
Mhm.
physically far away. And obviously we have cell phones and we have TV, we have the internet, like we see everything, but you're still physically isolated. It was one of the craziest feelings that I had never experienced before. Um, and so when I got tested, they literally asked me how I was, and there were TVs on in the testing room, and it was like CNN talking about Jacob Blake.
Mhm.
Mask down, and I just started bawling. And these poor people are just like, "Oh my god, like what do we do? Like what happened?" And that was the night we had the game that the Bucks boycotted. And so I always just kept wanting to show up for them again, no matter what I was going through or how I was feeling. I wanted to be the best ally I could possibly be, to stand up with these incredible players and black men that I just love dearly and wanted to support in any way possible. And so it gives me goosebumps to think about. I will never forget that game. And I will
Mhm.
never forget that moment that I honestly think that they stopped the world. And that is a very bold statement to say, but you have to remember that nothing else was going on. That playing and the women were playing in the Wubble. And basketball between the W and the NBA stopped the world with what was happening
Mhm.
to Black Lives Matter, and really, really reminding everybody how important all Black lives are. And that's something that I will carry with me, hopefully, for the rest of my entire life.
Yeah. And I know you're so involved in so many different things around the city. You were before this point. Did it take on a more significant importance after the fact?
I think the thing that you get taught as an athlete, that as soon as you put your jersey on, people look at you differently no matter what.
Mhm.
And that's how I feel my role is, for right or for wrong. Like when I am now, I'm me, but now, like you mentioned, like people might know me as DJ Shawna. And so that is, especially working with the Bucks and winning a championship with them. It's just one of those things that platform, I can't do that on my own. That's a gift that was given to me. And it might sound ridiculous to quote Spider-Man's grandpa and say, but with great responsibility comes great power. But
Mhm.
that's all I really want to do is I want to do my part and make this world a little bit of a better place. And so if by showing up every day being myself, um, I can make the world a little bit better place when I go to work, then I feel like I've done my job.
And that kind of brings me to Dare to Be Entertainment. I
Yeah.
would love for you to kind of tell us, what does that all entail, and what does that mantra mean to you? Because it's sort of, if you hear DJ Shawna, you hear this mantra, Dare to Be.
Thank
Where
you.
does that come from?
It's me, honestly.
Mm.
It's when I had set the goal to try to do something that was bigger than me. Wanting to see what was out in the world from a DJ and a music standpoint. I had two goals. One, I needed somebody who was going to help, so I have a manager, Chad, who's incredible, and is just brilliant, and I'm grateful for. And once I got goal one done, we had a very intensive conversation regarding my need and desire to have something that was bigger than me.
Mm.
So I think it's cool. Like DJ Sean is great, like cool. Like, and when I say that, it's not talking in the third person, like it's my business, and that's I think it's great. Like I love it. I love the opportunities. I love who I get to be. There's so many. I love it. I'm never disregarding any of that. But Dare to Be to me is way bigger than that, and I want
Mhm.
Dare to Be to live on. Hopefully, long after I'm gone, long after I'm done being able to be a DJ. But I really created Dare to Be to inspire you to be your absolute best self. And it was something that came, um, I love the idea of being somebody that you needed when you were a kid. And that's
Mm.
been something that just inspires me on a regular basis is what do you dare to be today? So today I'm daring to be productive because I am in the middle of a move and I am trying to still be a DJ and have events and be present. But it changes from minute to minute, from day to day, and that's really what dare to be is. But it's to me, I hope like it comes across as this, it's the umbrella of everything else that I do. Dare to be is the
Sure.
the first and foremost thing in my mind always.
And I want to talk a little bit about what other things that you do, because yes, you're known as, one of the best DJs to come out of Milwaukee.
Thank you.
But also, you have written a children's book. You've produced music. You even came out with your own song, um, uh, "Never Give Up," or
I won't give up.
I
Yeah,
won't give up.
thank you.
Sorry,
I will take it.
I
It's
won't give up.
good.
And I mean, and you've also, spoken to a lot of people about, sort of this idea, Dare to Be. So I would love to hear more about what else you're doing outside of, hyping up a crowd.
Thanks. Again, I think it sounds so funny, but a lot of things that I do now for work in my career really, the only blueprint I had was like when I was a basketball player, and I was always so much more than a basketball player. But that's just been always kind of like my comparison with life, and so I am more than a DJ. I love playing music for people. I love again that it brings people together on so many levels. But I also have so much more that I want to share with the world and put out into the world. And so, like you mentioned, I have done motivational speaking. I have a hard time calling it motivational speaking because I don't know that I can motivate people, but hopefully I can share my story and maybe it'll inspire you and take that light that I already know that it's inside of you and just make it a little bit bigger. So from motivational speaking to I've produced music for some of the biggest meetings, like opening experiences,
Mm.
some jingles. I'm working on some other fun projects, but you mentioned my first original song with Tanner Howe. It's called I Won't Give Up, and that's a lot of me. So if you like any of this interview, you can stream I Won't Give Up anywhere because you'll see I have a lot of feelings and a lot that I want to share with the world. What else? We talk. Oh, I have a clothing line, Dare to Be, which again, if you
Okay.
like the message, you can wear it and you can share it. And I appreciate you putting my website up. Everything can be found there, which is Chad does an incredible job of keeping that moving and grooving and looking legit. But you mentioned what probably one of my favorite projects is the kids book that I wrote and
Mhm.
published, and it is something very near and dear to my heart. So it's about our family dog that is no longer with us. Her name was Bob,
Mm.
and I did it on accident, which is really, really crazy. So my late stepdad was diagnosed and gone within about 5 months. He had stage 4 terminal
Wow.
cancer, and I had never had to grieve somebody like that. I've never had to go through the grief process, and so I was helping my mom take care of the dog, and I don't live that didn't live that far from my mom at the time, and so I would walk Bob every day. We'd just go and adventure downtown. I'm fortunate enough to live downtown in Milwaukee, and the adventures down here are just endless. And I started taking pictures of her literally like on my phone, and this idea again just took off. I wanted to find a way to commemorate Joe, and to also celebrate the city that our family really, really loves. And I
Mm.
think as my mom and Joe have been really integral parts and pieces of making our city as great as it is today. And so it's called The Adventures of Bob in downtown Milwaukee. And I won't tell any more, but there's some family little like goofy words in there that might look spelled incorrectly, but I promise that's how they were spelt within our family. But all the proceeds actually go to a nonprofit that is very near and dear to our family's hearts called Key to Change, which is to help chronically homeless families and individuals and hopefully put an end to homelessness within our city.
That's great.
Thanks.
This Adventures with Bob Downtown
Yeah, The Adventures of Bob and Milwaukee Downtown.
in Milwaukee Downtown.
Yeah.
Um, Out of everything that you do, especially, I mean, I imagine that the pandemic was probably a little bit scary, like it was for a lot of people, especially people who are entrepreneurs. What keeps you inspired? What keeps you going and makes you
Oh,
want to keep trying new things or incorporating, sort of new elements of yourself that you continue to put out there?
I like that question because I think it's moments like this. It's moments where even if you and I are the only ones that actually listen to this conversation, you inspire me, and you, but just by listening and feeling that maybe I'm, by being vulnerable and putting some stuff that is really close to my chest and close to my heart, like out into the world, that keeps me going. And I don't live for compliments, and I don't live for getting hyped up. But if I make somebody smile, and if I, whether it's a song, like I said, I still have to learn your song. I don't know your song, and I don't like it. And so yours personally, yeah, I don't know your song yet. And so, but like when I am gonna learn it, and then when I see you or know you're at an event that I'm at, I'm gonna play it, and it's going to make you feel as special as you are and as amazing as you are, because it's for you. And being able to be able to do that for people, like I said, at different events and different avenues and different venues, that's always my goal, is to make the space feel like it's all of ours.
Mhm.
And so it's things like this where I get to know people and hope, and then learn a little bit more about people, that keeps me going, and recognizing that I never get a day granted. I get to play music for people and hopefully inspire them a little bit.
Yeah, and I know, you not only obviously have DJ'd for many, many Milwaukee Bucks games, All-Star games, Final Four. You've also opened for Lizzo at
Let's
Summerfest. You
go!
yeah, DJ'd, or your headline, I'm sorry, Pride Fest. I know this is a hard question, but do you have a favorite moment or something that's sort of cemented in your mind where you're like, this is the path I'm supposed to be on. This is the place I'm supposed to be.
It's a tough question because opening for Lizzo and Shaq, and like and headlining Pride Fest, one of the, in my opinion, the best Pride celebrations in the country. Those are so different from Bucks games.
Sure.
I'm still DJing, but a Bucks game, that's not my show. That's not my game. I'm
Mm.
there to add value to you as somebody who paid a lot of money to get into Fiserv, but also that's that's all those guys, that's their work day. That's Giannis'
Mhm.
work day, that's Drew's work day, that's Coach Bud's work day. There's so many people, that's Bango's work day. There's so many people who's that's not my show. Um, so it's hard to separate, to be honest, an NBA championship because it's just you can't control that. Like I can't control that. All I can
Mhm.
do again is just keep showing up. I tried to make buckets that year, but I didn't make a single bucket that counted to win a championship. But um, honestly, opening for Lizzo and headlining Pride, um, those are up there. If you wanted to know, like from a show where I get to be the creative, I get to put
Mhm.
what I want out there. Um, that's something where when I look at those videos and I look at those pictures, that is that moment that you just said is like, I might be doing something right. Like this is kind of cool. Um, and I don't know who to thank, but I'm so grateful for those moments because if I could do that, I don't want to say every day because I would run out. But if I could do that 3 to 4 times a week, I think I would be pretty happy.
For sure. It takes energy to put out energy, right?
Right.
What do you see yourself doing over the next few years? I know one project, if you want to talk about it,
Yeah.
is really again kind of shifting the spotlight to you and your story. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I would love to. Thank you. So I want to DJ as long as I can, where it makes sense. And I don't know when that will be, but I do know, similar to basketball, again, to relate it back, one day I'm not going to be able to DJ.
Mhm.
That almost like makes me cry. Um, and it might be my choice, it might be somebody else's choice, and so I just know that that is going to happen. It's inevitable. And so I this all comes back to dare to be, and so I want to make more music. I want to put out some more good vibes, hopefully, that people again smile and bob their head to, maybe dance, maybe cry. I want to share a lot of that through music, and that's just inside of me. And I don't it
Mhm.
hasn't gone away for years. And I've only tasted it literally with one song, but I can't get enough of it. I'm also creating, I want to create more content. I want to build partnerships with brands that I personally love, so that again, I'm not just doing it to do it, but I'm doing it because it makes sense and it's genuine and it's authentic. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned is this is me like every single day. And I think I would be even more exhausted if I were lying, if I were making up all of this stuff. And so that's what is I've really loved is showing up as me, and then feeling like I am winning, and I'm not competing against anybody, but I'm competing against myself, and that's one of the craziest things to feel. To go from being like this little kid that had a perm and wanted to be Zach Morris and AC Slater, but really looked like Screech Powers, and to be able to, you can laugh. I had a perm. I did a white kid perm. So, yeah. But that's the goal. I wanna create more content. I wanna be authentically me, and again, um, not just share my story, but I think one of the coolest parts of my story is all the people that have seen something in me and given me a chance or believed in me or opened a door or pushed me through a door or, like, helped me get over a wall. Who knows? Like, and
Mhm.
I haven't done this alone. And again, that's a team mentality. Like the name on the front of my jersey is always more important than the name on the back. And that's the goal. So I want to create more content, build great partnerships for the city of Milwaukee, and I want to see how far this thing will go.
That's great. Um, it's interesting that you brought up. I mean, you didn't say this word, but the word that comes to mind since I've met you and we've talked a couple of times is this idea of authenticity and really bringing your whole self to whatever you pursue. So technically, we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs here. What is some advice that you might have for an emerging entrepreneur, or maybe even someone who maybe has a dream or a side hustle they want to pursue on the side that they just haven't quite taken the leap?
That voice is never going to go away. Um, and that's how I looked at it, was I still have the voice every day and I have so much that I want to do, at least try. so I think it's kind of twofold. Is it sounds selfish to say that I'm doing it for myself, but it feels like the only way I can describe it is like this feels like my purpose. Dare to
Mhm.
be playing music, like making music. That just feels like that's what I'm supposed to do. And so I imagine that if you're listening to this and you made it this far, that there is a light inside of you and that you have to listen to it and you have to at least try, because one of my favorite stoic quotes, like, time is going to pass no matter what. And so
Mhm.
how are you going to choose to spend that time that's going to pass no matter what? And I would rather choose to pass that time trying. And yeah, I have plenty of things that I shoulda, woulda, coulda 5, 10 years ago, maybe even, I don't know, 5 days ago. And I don't wanna live like that. I don't wanna live with regret. I would rather say I tried and failed than be somebody who knows in how many years to say, "Well, I could've." You're like, "Well, but you didn't." And so that's you gotta listen. That voice is, if it's there for a reason, and the world needs you.
Well, that is definitely sound advice. Shawna, thank you so much. Sorry, DJ Shawna. Let me
No,
let me
you
do
call
the
me
whole
Shauna.
thing.
You only call me DJ
my
Shauna when we're
sister,
being
my sister's name is Shawna, so it just like comes right off the dome. DJ Shawna. I want to thank you for speaking with us today
Thank
and
you.
remind our viewers that the conversation does not have to end here. So we are going to post a recap of our conversation with DJ Shawna. It is also going to run on the Technically websites at technically/series/Milwaukee. I want to thank all of you guys for joining us. And again, DJ Shawna, for taking up your time to be with us today, too.
Thank you for having
Have a
me.
great
I
day,
appreciate you
everyone.
all very much.
You're very welcome. Have a great day.
You too.